There's a quiet crisis unfolding behind closed doors, one that doesn't make headlines yet erodes the health, happiness, and dignity of millions. It's not a virus. It's not a financial collapse. It's something far more personal. It's the unrelenting pressure to keep up, to stay relevant, to live faster, spend more, and never slow down, especially in the final chapters of life. If you're between the ages of 55 and 75, you've likely felt it. Maybe you're recently retired, but find yourself waking up with a strange sense of unease. Maybe you're still working, juggling responsibilities, but wondering why you feel more exhausted than ever. Perhaps you've built the house, paid off the debt, raised a family, only to sit in a quiet room and ask, "What now?" Here's the truth. No one tells you the speed at which modern life moves is incompatible with the needs of the aging body and mind. It creates chronic fatigue, shallow relationships, mounting stress, and an overwhelming sense of emptiness. It pushes you to spend when you should be saving, to chase instead of cherish. And it tricks you into believing that if you're not busy, you're not valuable. But what if there's a way out? A path not backward, but forward toward more peace, more meaning, and more life in your years. A path built not on urgency, but on intention. This article is a wake-up call, not just for your wallet or your calendar, but for your well-being. We're going to dive into what it means to live a slow life as a senior and why this simple but radical shift can rescue your health, preserve your savings, and restore your sense of purpose. The high-speed life is a health hazard in disguise. For decades, our culture has equated speed with success. We learn to hustle, to multitask, to strive for more in less time. That mindset served many well in earlier years, helping build careers, raise families, and accumulate wealth. But the very habits that propelled us through midlife are now becoming dangerous in the second half. A study published by the American Psychological Association found that over 60% of adults aged 55 and older report chronic stress related to lifestyle overload, a term used to describe the constant bombardment of stimuli, decisions, and social pressure. This stress doesn't simply fade with age, it compounds. Unlike younger bodies, the senior nervous system is less resilient. Stress hormones such as cortisol linger longer in the bloodstream, disrupting sleep, spiking blood pressure, and weakening the immune system. Over time, this erodes cognitive function, slows recovery from illness, and contributes to everything from heart disease to memory loss. Yet few talk about the pace of living as a risk factor. We monitor cholesterol and blood sugar, but rarely ask whether our environment and the way we move through it is compatible with our biology. The result, a generation of seniors running on fumes, masking fatigue with stimulants, numbing emotion with screen time, and overspending in search of comfort or distraction. Real story when achievement becomes a prison. Consider the story of Alan, a 67-year-old former corporate vice president. For most of his adult life, he lived on a plane. He wore $800 suits, kept 3 phones on him at all times, and prided himself on being the last one to leave the office. After retirement, Alan didn't know how to stop. He replaced his packed work calendar with a packed leisure, one daily golf club meetings, cruises, and constant online shopping. On the outside, he was thriving, but inside he felt hollow. I realized I had no idea how to sit still, he confessed during a wellness retreat. Slowing down made me feel like I was disappearing. It wasn't until a minor stroke forced him into bed rest that he was finally forced to confront his pace. Alan now speaks about the importance of redefining success, not as constant activity, but as quality of presence. He didn't need more stuff. he needed more stillness. The illusion of spending as a form of fulfillment. Another dangerous byproduct of fast living is impulsive consumption. Seniors are one of the most targeted demographics by advertisers, often being sold the message that luxury, convenience, and indulgence are rewards for a life well lived. But what happens when these purchases are not driven by joy, but by restlessness, boredom, or unresolved emotional needs? According to a 2023 report by the National Institute on Retirement Security, nearly 50% of adults aged 60 to 74 admit to making monthly purchases they later regret, often in the form of subscription services, home gadgets, or recreational travel. And here's the deeper truth: excessive spending is often a mask for deeper discomforts. Loneliness, regret, a lack of structure, or even grief can push us to fill our time and our homes with things we don't need. Unlike the temporary dopamine spike of a new purchase, slow living rewires the brain toward contentment. It shifts the focus from accumulation to appreciation, reframing financial freedom in the later years. Slowing down does more than regulate your emotions, it repairs your finances. When seniors intentionally reduce their consumption patterns, the long-term impact on financial security can be dramatic. Not just because they spend less, but because they redefine what value means. Rather than chasing the next upgrade, the next gadget, or the next big event, they begin investing in relationships, health, and time. And the numbers support this. In a study conducted by the Center for Retirement Research at Boston College, seniors who adopted voluntary simplicity, reducing expenses by focusing on essentials, reported a 35% drop in monthly costs within 6 months, with no decrease in life satisfaction. In fact, over 70% reported increased emotional well-being due to less financial pressure and more time for meaningful activities. One retiree in the study remarked, "I stopped buying things to feel rich. Now I feel wealthy because I'm finally in control." That's the power of intention. Emotional healing through environmental decluttering. For many, the journey towards slow living begins at home. And no, it doesn't require becoming a minimalist or moving to a cabin in the woods. It starts with creating a space that reflects peace, not pressure. Emotional clutter, old paperwork, unused items, dusty reminders of past roles create subtle mental fatigue. Every drawer crammed with random tools, every closet filled with clothes you no longer wear, sends a silent message you haven't let go. Susan, a 70-year-old widow, described how her transition to a slower life began the day she donated 11 bags of household items to charity. Each item I let go of felt like a goodbye to who I used to be. But in that goodbye, I found space for who I'm becoming now, she said. Today, she lives in a smaller apartment with a few heirlooms, a garden view, and shelves filled with books she actually reads. She says it's not about less space, it's about less noise. Rediscovering physical health through stillness and rhythm. The aging body doesn't need more pressure, it needs pace. While movement is essential for vitality, the intensity and variety of motion should shift with age towards sustainability, not strain. Slower living naturally aligns with this shift, offering a framework that supports long-term health instead of burnout. When seniors adopt a slower lifestyle, daily activity becomes more intuitive. Gardening replaces gym routines. Walking at sunrise replaces morning commutes. Gentle stretching in the afternoon becomes a new ritual. These choices are not lazy alternatives, they are physiologically appropriate. The National Institute on Aging notes that seniors who maintain consistent low-impact physical activity are 45% less likely to experience rapid muscle loss and joint deterioration than those who alternate between bursts of high-intensity exercise and long sedentary periods. In other words, slow and steady literally wins the race in later life. Moreover, slow living invites seniors to eat slower, chew more, and cook at home more often. This enhances digestion, improves nutritional intake, and reduces inflammation. It encourages sleep routines that follow the body's natural circadian rhythm. It fosters deeper rest, fewer nighttime disruptions, and better memory retention. Your health doesn't just improve because you're doing less, it improves because you're doing what fits. The science of stillness. How your brain benefits from slowing down. The brain thrives on rhythm and recovery, yet modern life with its constant notifications, bright screens, and relentless scheduling floods the mind with stimulation. Over time, this creates what neurologists call neural exhaustion, a chronic state of overactivation that impairs memory, focus, and emotional regulation. Slowing down is not just a romantic ideal, it is a neurological necessity. Research from UCLA's Memory and Aging Center found that adults over 60 who practice 15 minutes of daily stillness, either through breathing exercises, meditation, or reflective journaling, had significantly thicker gray matter in brain regions associated with memory and emotional stability compared to their peers. Stillness doesn't mean silence. It means single tasking, presence, intention. It allows the brain to process experience, solidify learning, and reduce unnecessary reactivity. This is why so many seniors who embrace slower mornings, less media, and more nature report not just lower stress, but clearer thinking, steadier emotions, and greater creativity. In a world that constantly pushes us to do the most radical act of health may be to pause, creating a life with shape and soul. Daily structure, not routine. One of the challenges seniors face after retirement or after children leave home is the disorienting loss of structure. Time feels shapeless, and without meaningful markers, even freedom can feel like a burden. Slow living is not about having no plans. It's about having intentional ones, creating rituals that reflect what truly matters. Start small. Morning sunlight on your porch with a warm drink. A daily handwritten note to someone you care about. Walking the same nature trail every Wednesday. Listening to music without multitasking. Cooking one new recipe every Friday. These actions are not trivial. They give life texture. They remind the brain and body that each day matters. They shift the focus from outcome to presence. Dr. Emily Harper, a gerontologist and lifestyle medicine specialist, often tells her patients, the happiest older adults are not the ones with the fullest calendars. They're the ones with the most meaningful rhythms, leaving a legacy through how you live, not what you leave. For many seniors, thoughts naturally turn to legacy. But legacy isn't just about what's written in a will. It's about the example you set. The way you live your final decades becomes a message often louder than words. Slow living sends a powerful one. It tells your children and grandchildren that joy is not for sale. That time is not a commodity. That presence is a gift. That life is not about how many things you own, but how deeply you felt it. Writing letters, recording voice memos, telling family stories, planting a garden that outlives you. These are small acts that echo long after you're gone. You don't need a foundation to leave a legacy. You need attention. You need care. And sometimes you simply need to show up fully to dinner, to birthdays, to walks with your spouse. to sit without rushing, to listen without fixing, to love without distraction. The emotional resistance. Why slowing down feels so hard? Despite all the benefits, embracing the slow life isn't always easy. Many seniors feel guilty stepping away from productivity. Some fear being perceived as irrelevant. Others worry that if they stop doing, they'll lose their identity. These emotions are normal, but they're also illusions. You are not defined by your output. You are not less valuable because you choose to rest. You are not out of step. You are in alignment with what your body and spirit now need. At first, it may feel uncomfortable to say no to social expectations, to close your wallet to turn off the noise. You may even feel a sense of loss. But what follows that discomfort is something deeper: peace. And peace, unlike excitement, is sustainable. How to begin the slow life today. You don't need to move to the mountains or give away your possessions. The slow life begins wherever you are, with one change, one choice, one breath. Here are a few places to start. Identify one area of your life where you feel pressure to keep up. Step back from it for a week. Have a no-spend day each week. Focus instead on free pleasures, nature, books, music, connection. Replace 15 minutes of screen time with 15 minutes of stillness. Reorganize one drawer, one shelf. Notice how clarity in your space affects your thoughts. Start each morning without checking your phone. Give your own life the first few moments of your attention. You don't need to fix everything at once. You just need to notice. And from that noticing, choose differently. Conclusion: the wealth of a slower life. When you look back on your life from the vantage point of your later years, what will stand out? It won't be the model of your car. It won't be how quickly you responded to emails. It won't be the balance of your checking account. It will be the way your spouse's eyes lit up when you finally had time to sit and talk. The feeling of sun on your face during a quiet afternoon walk. The laugh of your grandchild as you taught them something old-fashioned and slow. These are the things that endure, and they are found not in the rush, but in the stillness. Slowing down is not the end of ambition, it is the beginning of alignment. It's not retreating from life, it's returning to it more fully, more calmly, and more yourself than ever before. In a world that shouts louder, moves faster, and demands more, your choice to slow down becomes an act of courage, of wisdom, and of freedom. You've spent your life building, now build differently. Build peace, build presence, build the kind of days you won't want to escape from. Because in the end, a good life isn't made of what you bought, but of what you noticed. If this message resonated with you, please take a moment to like this article and subscribe to the Longevity Secret channel. We're here to help you not just add years to your life, but life to your years. One quiet, powerful choice at a time.